Hi everyone, I'm Diana Gonzalez. I'm sorry for any background noise. I have a lot of people over. But for my presentation today, I chose the movie Under the Same Moon, also known as La Misma Luna. It's a drama film directed by Priscilla Ridgen and was released in 2007. The movie tells the story of a young boy named Carlitos who lives in Mexico with his grandmother, while his mother, Rosario, works in the United States. Rosario crossed the border to find work to be able to send home money so she could give her son a better life. And after Carlitos' grandmother unexpectedly passes away, he decides to travel to the United States in hope of finding his mother. And along the way, he faces many dangers and meets many people who help him as well as people who take advantage of him. The movie highlights the sacrifice immigrant families make and the emotional effects of being separated from loved ones for long periods of time. I chose this movie because it relates closely to one of the main topics that we covered in class: immigration, borders, and the relationship between the United States and Mexico. Before taking this course, I mainly thought of immigration in terms of people moving from one place to another. However, throughout our lectures and readings, I learned that migration is influenced by history, economics, labor demands, government policies, and social equities. The movie helped me better understand that these ideas because it shows the human side of immigration instead of just focusing on laws or statistics. One of the assigned readings that connects with the movie is Gloria Azuel's Borderland/La Frontera, and in her writing, she explains that the border is much more than a line separating two countries. She describes it as a place of different cultures, languages, and identities that come together, but also where people experience conflict, discrimination, and exclusion. She explains that people living in the borderlands often feel like they belong to two different worlds, but at the same time, not being fully accepted into either one. That idea reflects throughout Under the Same Moon because Carlitos and his mother are connected through their love for one another, but the border physically separates them and creates obstacles that keep them apart. Their story demonstrates how border affects people's daily lives, relationships, and sense of belonging. The movie also connects to one of our lectures about the historical relationship between the United States and Mexico. In class, we discussed how the two countries have been connected for generations throughout labor, trade, and migration. And we learned that many Mexican immigrants come to the United States because there are more job opportunities, especially in industries that heavily rely on immigrant workers. We also discussed how immigration policies have changed over time, making it difficult for many families to stay together. As a result, some parents make the heartbreaking decision to leave their children behind while they work in another country to provide financial support. That is exactly what happens in Under the Same Moon. Rosario does not want to leave and abandon her son, but she leaves because she believes that working in the United States will give Carlitos a better future. The movie shows that behind every immigrant story is a family making difficult decisions out of love and hope. Another idea we discussed in a lecture is that immigration is often viewed differently depending on people's perspectives. Some people only focus on laws and border security, while others focus on economic contributions immigrants make or the humanitarian reasons why families migrate. This movie encourages viewers to see immigrants as real people with emotions, dreams, and families rather than just as a statistic. Watching Carlitos travel across the border and overcome countless challenges made me realize how much courage and determination many immigrant families have. The movie has also helped me better understand the emotional impact of families' separation. Throughout the film, Rosario works long hours and constantly worries about her son, while Carlitos misses his mother every day. Even though they're separated by hundreds of miles, they continue to support each other through hope and determination. This connects to what we learned in class because immigrant policies can affect families for many years. Sometimes parents and children spend years apart while trying to create a better future. And seeing those experiences throughout the movie made the information of our lectures and readings feel much more personal and meaningful. As a future nurse, I believe that the class taught me valuable lessons that I will use throughout my career. Nurses care for people for making nurses care for people from different backgrounds, cultures, and life experiences. As a future nurse, I am going to see patients that will be immigrants, refugees, and individuals with families who experience separation because of migration. And understanding these experiences can help me better by showing empathy, respect, and cultural sensitivity. Instead of making assumptions about somebody's background, I can take the time to listen about their experiences and understand their personal history, and that will help me show their effect with their health and well-being. For example, if I'm caring for an example whose primary language is Spanish, or someone who recently immigrated into the United States, I can make sure they understand their medical information by using interpreters when needed and communicating respectfully. And I also know that immigrant families may be afraid to seek medical care because of language barriers, financial concerns, or fear of discrimination. And as a nurse, I want every patient to feel safe, respected, and cared for, regardless of where they come from or their immigration or what their immigration status may be. The lessons from class remind me that healthcare is not only treating illness, but also understanding a patient's unique experiences. Overall, Under the Same Moon is a powerful movie that illustrates many concepts that we discussed throughout the course, and it collects to Gloria Anzuel's Borderland/La Frontera by showing that the borders affect people's identities, relationships, and everyday lives. It also supports what we learned in the lecture about the long history of migration between Mexico and the United States and the important role that immigrant workers have played in American society. Most importantly, the movie reminds us that immigration is ultimately about people and families who are trying to build better lives despite the difficult circumstances. This class has changed the way I think about immigration by helping me understand both the historical background and personal experiences behind it. As I continue to work towards becoming a nurse, I will carry these lessons with me so I could provide compassion, respect, and cultural sensitivity to every patient I meet. Thank you for listening.